He is staying. He is sorry. And Xabi Alonso wants you to forgive him. Picture this. You are standing in the stands at Stamford Bridge. The team sheet comes out. And there, in the middle of the pitch, is the name that has caused you sleepless nights all summer. Enzo Fernandez. Do you boo him? Do you clap him? Or do you finally let it go? Xabi Alonso has already made up his mind. And on August 20th, 2026, in a pre-match press conference, he stood in front of the world and told every single Chelsea fan exactly how he feels about Enzo Fernandez. No hiding. No dodging. Just a straight, honest message. He's a top player. He's training really well since he started 10 days ago with the team, very integrated. We are happy with him and he's getting ready for Monday. Short words. Big meaning. Because behind that one sentence is a whole summer of drama, tension, boos, transfer talk, and a fanbase that did not know if their best midfielder wanted to stay or leave. Now, finally, we have an answer. Enzo Fernandez is a Chelsea player. And Xabi Alonso is asking you, the real Chelsea fan, to open your heart again. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, and let us go through this whole story together. Because this is not just a transfer story. This is a story about trust, mistakes, forgiveness, and a badge that means everything. The summer that nearly broke Chelsea fans. Let us be honest with each other for a second. This summer was hard for Chelsea supporters who love Enzo Fernandez. It did not start as a transfer story. It started as a trust story. Reports from deep inside the club described real tension in the dressing room after the World Cup celebrations, tension that many fans linked directly to Enzo. Whispers about a salary dispute followed soon after. Then came a valuation of around £100 to £120 million being placed on his head. Suddenly, this was not just gossip anymore. This felt real. Then Manchester City entered the picture. Big name. Big wallet. Big threat. City were reported to be interested in Enzo as their new midfield anchor, and the noise around a move only grew louder as the weeks passed. Ask yourself this. If you saw your club's best midfielder linked with your biggest rival for money, and heard stories of tension behind the scenes, how would you feel? Angry? Betrayed? Confused? That is exactly how thousands of Chelsea fans felt. And it showed. When Enzo stepped out for a pre-season friendly against Real Sociedad, some fans in the crowd booed him. Think about that for a second. A player who once lifted the World Cup, a player many hoped would be a Chelsea legend, getting booed by his own crowd. That is how deep the hurt went. But here is where the story gets interesting. While fans were still arguing about whether he should stay or go, Xabi Alonso quietly did something that told us everything about his plan. He handed Enzo the captain's armband. In the middle of all that noise, all that anger, all that transfer talk, Alonso trusted him with the armband. That was not an accident. That was a message. Deadline day came and went, and nothing happened. Chelsea did not just sit around hoping the transfer talk would go away on its own. The club set an internal deadline. Reports say Chelsea placed a valuation of around £120 million on Enzo and gave interested clubs, mainly Manchester City, until a certain point to come forward with a real, official bid. That deadline was August 14th. 5 o'clock in the evening. A real cut-off point. And guess what happened? Nothing. No official bid arrived from Manchester City. No paperwork. No formal offer on the table. Just silence. Why did City hold back? A few reasons came out in the reporting. Enzo Maresca, the manager who once worked with Enzo at Chelsea, was said to be cautious about the move. There was also talk of City's other transfer plans being affected by Rodri's future, with reports linking Rodri to a possible switch to Barcelona. If Rodri were to leave City, that could open a fresh door for City to come back for Enzo later in the window. But for now, with the deadline gone and past, Chelsea pulled those verbal exit terms off the table completely. In simple words, the door that was open for a transfer has now been closed by Chelsea themselves. Doesn't that change everything? A move that felt almost certain to some fans just a few weeks ago has now completely stalled. And with Chelsea pulling back the exit terms, the message from the club became clear. We are not selling him this summer. Now think about Jorge Mendes here too. Mendes, Enzo's agent, was heavily involved in talks throughout this saga, working behind the scenes as interest from City lingered. But even with a super agent like Mendes involved, no deal came together before the deadline. Sometimes even the best negotiators cannot make a transfer happen if the buying club will not move fast enough. So here we are. Deadline gone. City quiet. Chelsea holding firm. And Enzo Fernandez still wearing the blue shirt. Why Alonso refused to give a straight exit answer. Here is something interesting about that press conference. When journalists pushed Alonso and asked directly if Enzo had personally promised to stay at Chelsea for the long term, Alonso did not give a clean yes or no answer. Instead, he moved the conversation away from contracts and paperwork and focused everything on Enzo's attitude and effort in training. He talked about how well Enzo was working, how integrated he looked with the squad, how ready he seemed for Monday's game. Now, why would a manager do that? Why dodge a direct question about the player's long-term commitment? Think about it from Alonso's side. Contract talks, transfer valuations, agent conversations, these are club business. A manager talking too much about numbers and paperwork in public can create more problems than it solves. But talking about a player's attitude, his hard work, his professionalism, that is something a manager can speak about honestly and confidently, without giving away anything private. By focusing on Enzo's application in training rather than making guarantees about his future, Alonso protected the club's position while still sending a warm, positive message to the fans. Clever, right? It also tells us something else. Alonso is not interested in playing games with the media about Enzo's future. He is choosing his words carefully, staying loyal to his player, and letting his actions on the pitch speak louder than any transfer headline. 10 days back, and already fully integrated. Let's talk about something that really matters here. Enzo has only been back with the team for 10 days, according to Alonso's own words in that press conference. 10 days. That is not a long time. Yet Alonso used a very specific word to describe him. Integrated. Not settling in. Not adjusting. Fully integrated. What does that tell you? It tells you that Enzo did not walk back into that Cobham training ground with his head down, sulking about a transfer that did not happen. He walked back in and got straight to work. He trained hard. He connected with his teammates. He showed the manager and the squad that whatever happened away from the pitch, on the pitch he was 100% focused on Chelsea. That is exactly the kind of response Chelsea fans want to see from a player after a summer like this one. Actions speak louder than headlines, and Enzo's actions in training have apparently spoken very loudly indeed. Can you imagine the pressure on him walking back into that dressing room? Knowing some fans had booed him. Knowing his teammates had read the same transfer stories everyone else had read. Knowing the manager and coaching staff were watching closely to see how he would respond. And yet, according to Alonso, he responded the right way. Professional. Focused. Ready. Forgive him. That is the message from the top. Here is where this story becomes about more than just one player. This becomes about the entire Chelsea fanbase and how we treat our own. Yes, mistakes were made this summer. The dressing room tension was real. The transfer noise was loud and distracting. Nobody is pretending that did not happen. But Alonso's message is simple. That is in the past now. Enzo has shown professionalism. He wants to correct his errors. He wants to win back the trust of the fans. Football is a game built on passion, and passion means fans will always react strongly when they feel let down. That reaction, the boos at Real Sociedad, the anger online, all of that came from a place of love for this club. Fans do not get angry about players they do not care about. But now Alonso is asking supporters to take the next step. To look forward instead of backward. To give Enzo the chance to prove himself all over again, starting this Monday. Ask yourself honestly, have you ever made a mistake at your own job? Have you ever said something you regretted, or made a choice you later wished you could take back? Most of us have. The difference between a real mistake and a permanent problem is what you do afterward. And by every account coming out of Cobham, Enzo is doing exactly what he should be doing. Working hard. Staying humble. Showing up every single day ready to fight for this club. Doesn't that deserve a second chance? The role Alonso sees for him. It is worth remembering why Chelsea and Alonso wanted to keep Enzo in the first place. This is not about sentiment alone. This is about football quality. Alonso has been clear in earlier comments that he sees Enzo playing an important role in his midfield plans, with talk of using him in a deeper, more controlling position where his passing range and game reading can shape how Chelsea build attacks. A manager does not fight to keep a player, resist a £120 million valuation being triggered, and hand him the captain's armband unless he sees something special in that player's ability. Enzo Fernandez is a World Cup winner. He is a player with elite passing range, strong tactical awareness, and the leadership qualities to wear the armband even during a difficult period. Alonso called him a top player, and that was not just a kind phrase for the cameras. That reflects genuine belief in what Enzo brings to this Chelsea side. Think about the platform this gives him. A new manager, a fresh system, and a central role in the middle of the park. If Enzo channels all that summer frustration into his performances, Chelsea fans could be about to see one of his best seasons in a blue shirt. What this means for Monday against Fulham. All of this leads to one big moment. Monday, August 24th. Chelsea against Fulham. Xabi Alonso's first Premier League match in charge of this club. Think about the size of that occasion. A new manager stepping into his first competitive league game at Chelsea. Every fan watching closely to see his tactics, his team selection, his approach. And right there, expected to feature heavily, is Enzo Fernandez. This is not just another game for Enzo. This is his chance. His chance to answer the boos with brilliant football. His chance to show the doubters why Alonso fought so hard to keep him. His chance to give every fan who booed him at Real Sociedad a reason to stand up and cheer instead. Pressure like that can break some players. But for a player who has already won a World Cup, who already knows what it feels like to perform on the biggest stage in football, this is exactly the kind of moment that can bring out his best. Picture the scene at kickoff. The whistle blows. Enzo receives his first pass in midfield. What happens next is up to him. But if his training performances over these last 10 days are anything to go by, Chelsea fans could be in for a big afternoon from their World Cup winning midfielder. A fan base divided, and a chance to come together. Let's be honest about something else too. Not every Chelsea fan will forgive Enzo overnight just because Alonso asked them to. Trust, once shaken, does not always come back in a single press conference or a single match. Some fans will want to see it with their own eyes over weeks and months before they fully let go of what happened this summer. And that is okay. That is normal. Football fans are allowed to feel however they feel about a situation that affected them personally, especially during a summer that dragged on for weeks with constant transfer headlines. But here is something worth thinking about. Every single player who has ever become a true legend at a football club has, at some point, needed the fans to give them a second chance. Nobody is loved from day one without a single doubt ever crossing a supporter's mind. Trust is built through good days and bad days, through mistakes made and lessons learned. If Enzo Fernandez goes out there on Monday and gives everything for this badge, if he keeps showing the same professionalism in training that Alonso has praised, if he lets his football do the talking week after week, then the boos of the summer could slowly turn into songs from the stands. That is the power football has. It can turn doubt into belief. It can turn anger into respect. It can turn a difficult summer into a forgotten memory, replaced by something much better. So here is a question worth asking yourself before Monday even kicks off. Are you ready to give him that chance? What Chelsea fans should watch for now. As we build up to Monday, here are a few things worth keeping an eye on. First, watch how Alonso sets up his midfield. Does Enzo start in a deeper role, closer to the defense, or does he push forward into a more attacking position? This will tell us a lot about how Alonso plans to use him this season. Second, watch the crowd reaction when Enzo's name is read out before kickoff, or when he first touches the ball. Has the mood shifted since those boos at Real Sociedad, or is there still tension in the stands? Third, watch how Enzo performs under pressure in the opening minutes. Early touches often set the tone for a player's entire match. A confident first pass, a strong tackle, a bit of composure on the ball, these small moments can start to rebuild trust fast. And finally, keep an eye on the wider transfer picture too. Remember, Chelsea pulled the exit terms off the table after the August 14th deadline passed, but reports also suggest Manchester City could return with a fresh approach later in the window if their Rodri situation with Barcelona develops further. This story may not be fully over yet, even if Monday goes well. Why this story matters beyond one player. Step back for a second and think about the bigger picture here. This is not only about Enzo Fernandez. This is about how Xabi Alonso wants to build his Chelsea team. A manager who stands in front of the media and defends a player during a difficult, noisy transfer saga is sending a message to the entire squad. He is saying, I back my players. I give people second chances when they show me they deserve one. I focus on what happens on the training ground, not just what gets written in the headlines. That kind of leadership can build real loyalty inside a dressing room. Players notice when their manager stands up for a teammate under pressure. It can bring a squad closer together, rather than letting outside noise pull it apart. For Chelsea, coming off a summer full of transfer speculation involving several players, not just Enzo, this kind of unity matters more than ever. Alonso is only just getting started in his time at Stamford Bridge, and how he handles moments like this one will shape the culture of this team for the rest of the season. The bottom line. So where does this leave us? Enzo Fernandez is staying at Chelsea, at least for now. The August 14th deadline for a Manchester City bid passed with no official offer, and Chelsea have pulled the exit terms off the table. Xabi Alonso has praised his professionalism and his training performances since returning to the squad 10 days ago. He has called him a top player and confirmed he is getting ready to feature heavily on Monday against Fulham. Yes, the summer was messy. Yes, trust was damaged. Yes, some fans booed him and some still have doubts. But the man in charge of this football club is asking every true blue supporter to look forward, not backward. To forgive the mistakes of the past and roar for the player wearing that badge in the present. Enzo Fernandez says, through his actions on the training ground, that he wants to fight for this club and correct his errors. Xabi Alonso believes him. The only question left is whether the fans in the stands will believe him too. Monday is coming fast. Fulham away from home, but really, this is about so much more than 3 points. This is about a player trying to win back a fanbase, and a fanbase deciding whether they are ready to open their arms again. What do you think, Chelsea fans? Are you ready to forgive Enzo Fernandez and roar for him on Monday? Or do you need to see more before you let the boos fade away? However you feel, one thing is certain. This Monday, all eyes will be on that midfield, and on the man Xabi Alonso has chosen to trust with the armband and the ball. Let's stand behind this team, one game at a time, and see where this new chapter under Xabi Alonso takes us. Come on, Chelsea.
The answer, if you have read everything in this article, should be clear. It makes them significantly better, and significantly better is exactly what Chelsea need to be. Keep watching this space. The summer window is just getting started, and Chelsea are already making moves that could shape the next few years of the club's history. This is an exciting time to be a Chelsea supporter. Let us enjoy the ride. What do you think about these two transfer targets? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Would